Hey guys, welcome back to Warhammer Weekend Times. I'm your host Stan, and today I've got a 3v3 field battle for y'all. I'm going to be playing as the Ogre Kingdoms, and my allies are going to be Macaroni and Cheese, playing as the Orcs and Goblins. And then over here we have Coachka23 playing as the Dark Elves. Our opponents are going to be Steve03 playing as the Grand Principality of Reikland. We have Wizard over here in the middle playing as the High Elves, and then over here my opponent is going to be Bad J playing as Brettonia. Let's go ahead and go over the army comps, guys, and then we'll go ahead and start the battle. But Brettonia has about, or Bad J has 2 units of men-at-arms spearmen, 1 on each flank, and a really long line of men-at-arms halberdiers in the front. And then in front of them, he has about 4 units of peasant bowmen, which have laid out a nice kind of stake field to keep any cav from charging in right in his face, pretty much. He's also got 2 units of trebuchets, which are a devastating anti-infantry artillery unit, and then he has 2 units of Knights of the Realm behind them. Excuse me. He's also got about 3 units of Questing Knights over here, and then 3 units of Grail Knights, and that is pretty much his army. Over here for Wizard's army, he has about 3 units of High Elf Archers and about 2 units of Shadow Warriors mixed in with them. He's also got about 4 units of Lothar and Sea Guard. That's a very formidable skirmisher force to have right in this area. He could focus down a single unit very, very quickly if he desired. He's also got about 2 units of Phoenix Guard, 1 on each flank, and then 2 units of Swordmasters of Hoeth on each flank. In the center, he has 1 unit of Tyrannok Chariot, and then about 2 units of Dragon Princes of Calidor. And then over here for Steve03's army, he has about 2 units of Dismounted Reiksguard with Halberds, 2 units of Grudgebringer Infantry, and then a unit of Hellstorm Rocket Battery. He's also got a couple units of Dismounted Reiksguard, and about 3 units of High Elf Archers in front. He's also got about 2 units of Knights of Origio as well. He's got 1 unit of Estalian Caballeros, and then about 2 units of Volan's Venators, and then 1 unit of Demigryph Knights. In the back, he has about 2 units of Great Swords, and then about 1 unit of Reiksguard Knights Bodyguard, where his general is going to be right there. And then over here, he has a unit of Knights of the White Wolf. So that is the opposing army for us, and then on my team's army, we are going to be bringing for, actually, Coachka23 is going to be bringing for his army about 2 units of Dark Shards, and then 1 unit of Shades. He's also got a couple units of Harganeth Executioners, some Dread Spears, some Witch Elves of Cain. He's got about, I think, 3 units of Cold One Knights, which are multiple HP. Very, very good knight unit for the Dark Elves. Over here, he has some Harpies as well. He's got some Black Orc Corsairs, and he has some Bleak Swords, which are armor upgraded, and look at how beautiful those look, guys. I mean, that looks almost identical to the, to the Blackguard of Nagaron unit, or their armor does anyway. The Blackguard of Nagaron, I definitely think has a higher resolution armor model, but either way, they look amazing compared to their just typical model that they have. But that also brings us to his Blackguard of Nagaron. I believe he's bringing about 1 or 2 units of these, and that pretty much rounds out his... Oh, except over here, guys, he has 2 units of Dark Riders as well, which I think he's going to kind of swing around Steve03's flank and maybe try to pick off some of his heavier cav. Over here for Macaroni and Cheese's army, he has a unit of Giants. He's also got some Orc Boar Boys. He's bringing about 3 units of Black Orcs. He's bringing some Harboth Black Mountain Boys, and then some Ruglug Armored Orcs. He's got some Orc Boys. He's got some Harboth Orc Archers in front, bringing some more Boar Boys. He's got a Black Orc Bodyguard unit as well. Some more Harboth Black Mountain Boys, just a ton of these multiple HP Orcish units. He's got some Orc Biggins, some Savage Boar Boys, and then some Orc Biggins, Orc Boar Biggins over here. And then I believe he's got 1 unit of Black Orc Destroyers, which have a really high charge bonus. But that is his army, guys. For my army, I have a long line of Hobgoblin Despoilers of the Darklands in the front. I've also got a long line of Noblars, about 2 units of these, kind of stretching out to kind of blanket out against that Brettonian cavalry. I've also got a Notlob Orcish bolt-throwing engine that I was going to try out this game. I don't think it really got many kills, though. I've also got a couple units of Iron Guts, 2 units of them, which my general is going to be in over here for my Ogre Kingdom army. And then I've also got 3 units of Oglakon Wolf Boys, and about 1 unit of Maneater Ogres, and then a really long line of Harboth Black Mountain Boys in the rear, and then 2 units of Harboth Orc Archers, and then 2 units of Ruglug Armored Orcs as my kind of as my skirmisher corps. So those are the armies, guys. Let's go ahead and start the battle. That took a little longer than I would have liked it to, but there are 6 armies to go over, so you know, it just takes a little bit of time, I guess. But I am going to start firing in with my Notlob Orcish bolt-throwing engine into his cav. I don't know if I'm going to actually get any really good shots off or not. I don't think I get any kills against his cav with it. He is going to start also firing in, though, with his trebuchets, and look at that. One trebuchet shot killing about I don't know, like 34 hobgoblins, so I really needed to be careful with that. That's when I started to kind of spread my hobgoblins out a little more, put them in more of a kind of a spaghetti line, and I am going to start firing into Bad J's cavalry corps that he is going to be charging up. Now, I didn't really get nervous when he started charging up, but he kind of stopped, but he was still able to get the charge off with the square lines, but at that point I was able to move my noblars kind of up where I wanted them to kind of hold back his Grail Knights, make them extend their charge pretty much, and then start charging in some of my units. I did charge in my Iron Guts just a little bit late. Here we go. I'm going to start marching them up. I think I should have charged them right after my Noblars to engage the Brettonian Cav, but at this point I kind of do make a bit of a mistake by charging up my Iron Guts so quickly. This actually left them very, very open on their right flank, and if Bad J had capitalized on this, he probably would have been able to wipe out my general unit right here. Maybe not my general because he's lagging behind and may have been able to pull him out last minute, but it does look like Bad J is going to kind of lose his micro over here just a little bit, and I'm going to catch up to some of his Grail Knights and get kind of a nice charge off there, and then another nice charge off with my other Iron Gut unit, and then back behind here I'm going to reinforce with some of my Man-Eater Ogres and kind of charge through where there are some little areas that I can push through, and he's going to start pulling his Grail Knights back at that point. Back over here, it does look like Macaroni Cheese is going to start moving his army up, and it looks like Coach Good 23 has taken a really, really hard beating from Steve 03's artillery barrage. Those Hellstrom rocket batteries are absolutely devastating, guys. And, in my opinion, they are the most destructive artillery unit that the Empire probably have at their disposal. They're really good at destroying walls, too. They don't have much ammo, but you can punch through a wall very quickly if that's what you're looking for. A quick entrance, maybe just one little choke point, if that's what you're trying to capitalize on. That's actually a really good artillery unit to bring. It does look like, though, that the Hellstrom rocket battery did hit some of Macaroni and Cheese's army as well, and it looks like Kochka 23 is going to move up kind of behind Macaroni and Cheese and start kind of reinforcing his lines with some of his skirmish units. It does look like that these Orc Boar Boys, and I think these are Orc Big Guns, are going to be really kind of cutting through the Lothern Sea Guard. It does look like, I thought I saw some Dragon Prince of Kalador charging around, but it does look like, man, a lot got killed there. It does look like Coach 23 is going to get a really nice charge into the side and the flanks of these Phoenix Guard, killing quite a few in that charge, but as soon as they turn around and start taking those little pokes at those Cold One Knights, those do a lot of damage each attack, and they're going to be able to dispatch that cavalry unit very, very quickly if he's not careful. Over here, we do have some more of these Dragon Prince of Kalador charging into these Orc Boars, doing a lot of damage to them. The Dragon Prince of Kalador are kind of at about half numbers, though, so they do need to be a little careful with their charges. He doesn't want to leave them in prolonged melee for too long, but these Orc Big Guns are going to be multiple HP, so they might be able to do more damage to those Dragon Princes than Wizard might want. Bunch of Witch Elves of Cain are going to be kind of massing up here against these Phoenix Guard. Witch Elves do have multiple HP. They operate a lot kind of like the dismounted Demonettes, and then it does look like Macaroni Cheese is going to charge up his Black Orc Bodyguards over here as well. I am going to start commit a little more of my forces over here to help out this engagement. I'm going to charge up my Oglecon Wolf Boys, and they are going to kind of... Come on, guys. Come on, go. But they're gonna be charging up here. They're a little bit slow because Will's just, they're not as fast as horses. But, this charge is going to actually be really nice. I'm going to be charging into the flanks of the Swordmasters of Hoeth, which don't really have any shields, so they are not going to take that charge very well. But I'm going to just carry that charge all the way through into those Phoenix Guard, and I am going to feel really good about helping my buddies out in that engagement there. Over here, I have kind of broken through some of this main line with my heavier Ogre units. They definitely are beginning to thin out a little bit, but I am using them to tie down those Trebuchets and some more of those critical units for Brettonia. He does still have a lot of Knights of the Realm, some Questy Knights still here, some Grail Knights, but he is leaving them in prolonged melee, which is not really how you want to operate with a lot of these cavalry units. They are definitely shock units. You want to charge them in, charge them out, maybe have one or two of them act as maybe as the anvil for the hammer, but you definitely don't want to leave them engaged in melee. Now, they may come out on top against some of my weaker kind of hobgoblin units, but I do have my own cav still over here that I am going to be charging into the flanks of these Grail Knights, and one or two of those models are going to drop, but being in this kind of prolonged melee, they do have a very quick attack animation, and I am going to outnumber these Grail Knights just a little bit, but as you can see, some of my Oglecon Wolf Boys are going to be falling as a result of this melee engagement. But these Grail Knights are thinning out very, very quickly. Some of these men-at-arms spearmen are holding fairly well as well. But my Iron Guts are really doing a lot of the work here. Look at that. I'm able to get kind of charges off too, really at short distances. That actually was kind of nice to see. I don't think that's how that's supposed to work, but it's really good with these Ogre units that are supposed to have kind of a big charge, high mass units that probably wouldn't need very long to run before they kind of achieved a deadly speed with their momentum. But some of my Ogres you can see here are getting bloodied up. I do have quite a few skirmisher units left, and I am kind of using that to pick off what he's got kind of left over here. I do think a lot of my units were kind of targeting his cavalry, which there not being quite so many models in a unit, each kill becomes a little more important. But this engagement over here is actually going to kind of fill itself out very quickly, or not fill itself out, but finish itself off kind of quickly. A lot of these units from Coach Code 23, he did take a really hard barrage early on, but he is definitely leading the charge right now into Stevo 3. Still a lot of Orcish units left for Macaroni and Cheese, but some of his units have been kind of expended from that early engagement with Wizard. I know he took a lot of shots, especially early on. As soon as they deployed, Wizard was able to fire at him with some of his High Elf archers. Over here, Stevo 3 does have a lot of his cav left, which is honestly devastating, especially late game if you're able to hold on to them. If you're able to extinguish the other team's cav, you will be at a significant advantage, especially when you have powerful cavalry like Demigryph Knights and Reiksguard Knights Bodyguard and Volan's Venators. These heavy cav are really no joke whatsoever. I mean, you don't want to let your forces get too messed up by them. Over here, we do have some of the Stallion Caballeros charging into Macaroni and Cheese's road with Armored Orcs, but this is really what Macaroni and Cheese should be doing, is kind of spreading his forces out a little bit, making each one a really kind of an important target for them, so whenever he commits his forces, or Stevo 3 commits his forces, he can still kind of pick and fire at some of those cavalry. Now, these cav do have shields, so they're going to have a shield block chance, so his shots aren't going to be quite so effective, but High-Mouth Orc archers have something like a 12 damage on their arrows, so they can be very, very devastating, especially close up like this. Now, he is going to be able to fire while engaged in melee, and I think you can toggle... Excuse me, folks. I think you can toggle fire at will on and off sometimes to kind of get that desired effect where you still are firing even though some of your units are engaged in melee. Over here, Stevo 3 has definitely begun to commit pretty much most of his army. A lot of his Reiksguard Knights Bodyguard... I'm sorry, guys. This amount of Reiksguard over here are going to be fighting against some of the Harganeth Executioners. Some of these Harboth Black Mountain Boys, very few in number left, though. Very few left in number, though, excuse me, and they are going to kind of thin out and begin to waver very quickly from that rear charge from that Demigryph Knight unit. The Reikland is definitely doing very, very well here. There is a giant in the midst, though, so he wants to be careful about clumping his units up, because giants do have a very, very large AoE attack, and especially kind of masses like this. Macaroni and Cheese should have been kind of allocating some of his stuff over here, but that's okay. I mean, he is focusing actually in the cavalry department, which, I mean, either of these targets is really a favorable target for him to send his giant into. You want to do as much damage as you can, as quickly as you can, and targeting the cavalry like that actually was a very, very smart decision. If he's going to take out a lot of Stevo 3's mobility, that's not going to leave him much. I'm sorry, guys, I am stumbling over my words today. That's not going to leave him with much left to kind of combat some of those heavier multiple HP units. Stevo 3 was going to have to probably, once he kind of runs lower on his cav, he's going to really only have his melee units to kind of form the backbone of his army, and faced against a giant, you can have a ton of melee units, and giants will still just rip through them. You'll eventually kill them, but they are going to do a lot of damage. Even a single giant like this is capable of doing just an inordinate amount of damage to an army. But over here we have the Blackguard of Nagaron that is kind of spaced out like this. They are beginning to get a little bit surrounded, and he is very kind of low on this unit. They are beginning to shake. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. That's a Dredge Spear shaking. I say these Blackguard of Nagaron are beginning to shake, which actually astounds me, because I would not expect them to shake with such a healthy unit, but the Dredge Spears definitely are going to be shaken. They do not have near the morale that the Blackguard of Nagaron have. typically Black Guard of Nagrand will fight almost to the last unit, unless they're affected by maybe like a Screaming Skull Catapult or another unit that maybe causes terror or has certain morale penalties associated with it. But my units, I believe, are going to kind of be freed up at this point. I am going to finish up most of the engagement over here. Bad J does still have a few Grail Knights on the field, but I wanted to really reinforce my allies at this point because if we lost here, I would not be able to take on Stevo 3's Cav or a lot of his heavier infantry that he has left. Now, while some of his units are winded, he still does have a lot of healthy, heavy units that I need to contend with, and I really don't have that kind of numbers at this point, so I am going to really kind of jump into the battle. I'm not going to spend a lot of time letting my units get their, stamina back up. I'm going to just send my guys in there and really reinforce with what I have left. I do have quite a few skirmisher units as well, which is going to help me kind of pick off some of these cavalry units that Stevo 3 still has. Over here, I've got my Harbath Black Mountain Boys charging up. They're still very numerous in this unit. I do have another Harbath Black Mountain Boy unit that I charged up prior to that into this Greatsword unit, and these guys are beginning to kind of really thin out in number. I believe this is actually Ogre Khan himself in this Ogre Khan Wolfboy unit. That's really appropriate that he's the last one alive. Maybe, I don't know, maybe he would die first and or die early on fighting, but he is the last one left in this unit. That's kind of neat. But we are going to, or I am going to pretty much be finishing off this unit of Great Swords. And then over here we do have some of these Demigryph Knight units, which are being focused down by some of these more, depleted skirmisher units. But still, that is pretty much one of his big advantages at this point, or Stevo 3's big advantages, is having these multiple HP Demigryph Knights. He's going to charge into this Harbath Black Mountain Boy unit, and they are going to rout. He's going to kill quite a few in that charge. There are some of these Black Guard of Nagrand left here as well, about 15 left in that unit. So if we're able to isolate these Demigryph Knights, we're going to be able to really do a lot of damage to Stevo 3. This is really what is, I think I've said this several times, that's pretty much his bread and butter at this point. There's not a lot left on the field at this point, guys. There's really not. Just a few dismounted Reiksguard units. We do have, I have a few of my Iron Guts. They're exhausted. They're going to take a rear charge right here from the Volans Venators, but it looks like the Volans Venators might actually have stopped a little short there. They didn't really travel all the way through. It does look like one of those Ogres did kind of get, stuck and, by those Volans Venators things, but he kind of just jumped forward. Like, it really didn't bother him that much. They are going to start cutting into this, or one of these Ogres is going to start cutting into this Volan Venator unit, or these 3 Volan Venators. But that's pretty much it. Stevo 3 is making the most of what cavalry he has left. A really good cav charge there, taking out one of my Iron Gut units and damaging one. You saw him kind of reel back in pain. But we do have a lot really left on the field. Well, we really don't have a lot left, to be honest. We've got a Giant. We have a few Iron Gut units. What we do have are a lot of elite units left on the field. I do have some Harbath Orc, or I guess Macro. Geez, have some. Excuse me, guys. Wow, that was bad. Sorry. Macaroni and Cheese has some Harbath Orc Archer units as well over here. He is fairly actually warmed up. So I don't know if these guys just have not been running around and they've kind of regained some of their stamina, or if they have just not had to move very much this game, pretty much at all. I am going to charge up my Royal Armador into kind of what is left of these Demigryph Knight. I think that was the Demigryph Knight unit. Maybe not. That may have been the Reiksguard Knight's Bodyguard unit, but we are going to finish off pretty much what is left of Stevo 3's army. And I think at this point, there are only a few Grail Knights left. Bad J has some cavalry way out over here, and this is pretty much going to be game at this point. You can see the balance bar. It was a very close battle, 93% to 98%. And quite honestly, I was, at this point, I was like, yeah, we probably do have this one, but we do need to be careful because our units are really exhausted, first of all. And if we start routing, it can cause a chain rout. And that would be the difference, really, at this point between a win and a loss, because he does have some cavalry. We don't have a lot of infantry left. So really, I think this balance bar is It's probably about accurate, to be honest. I was going to say the Giants and the Iron Guts actually kind of weigh in really heavily on the balance bar, so in reality it might be a little more closer to their end. But he is going to charge in with his Grail Knights, but they are not going to charge all the way in. It looks like they are actually going to get caught on these 2 Grail Knights that he charged in ahead of time. So he's not going to carry through with the charge, and he is going to get surrounded by the Giants and the Iron Guts over here. But he's going to pull out just in time, and everybody's going to get masked up, and this is kind of what I was talking about. This made me a little nervous, but Macaroni and Cheese is going to be pursuing him with a Giant, which is going to keep them from really kind of carrying through with their charge. They're going to kind of, you know, break through him. He's actually going to kind of act as a roadblock to prevent them from charging in. It does look like a few of my Noblars are actually going to throw in some of their nets that actually have kind of a cool kind of screen shake effect. I don't know if that's, you know, really appropriate for just Noblars throwing nets, but I do like the effect. I really do. I think it should maybe be used on maybe a I don't know. I don't know what it should be used on. I like the screen shake. I think it's cool. He is still going to be trying to charge in the Grail Knights, but at this point they're just not going to charge through, and he is going to lose a few of these Grail Knights in this charge of my Iron Guts and these Harboth Black Mountain boys. But see, like, these guys were shaken. I got really nervous when I saw that. I thought, you know, it could have been a different, really kind of gone a different way at the end. So this was really a close battle. Very, very good game on the opposing team side. A lot of fun to play these larger 3v3s. And this is kind of lore friendly, I guess. You could argue that the Dark Elves basically hired out Orcs and the Ogre Kingdoms and, you know, to kind of act as mercenaries, and then Brettonia and Reikland and the High Elves kind of came together as a conglomerate and said, you know, oh, we can't let this happen. But, you know, I don't know that much about in-depth Warhammer lore. I do know a bit about events and stuff like that, but I don't know too much about certain factions' motivations. I do know, like, you know, High Elves are very kind of recessionists. They don't really go out and intervene too much with other stuff unless they believe it'll affect them and stuff like that. Or that's the way I understand it. I might be wrong in that, you know. But anyway, that is going to be the battle, guys. Really fun battle. Standard Bearer is still alive, but here we go and look at the specs. Steve 3 got a lot of kills, 1085. I got a decent amount of kills, 945 here. Let's take a look at the kill count for my units. I got a lot of kills with my Iron Guts, 170. Only 3 kills with my Noblars, but they're really not meant for killing. They're just a meat shield unit. Over here, a lot of kills with my Oglecon Wolfboy unit, 144, 108, and then 65. This one didn't do too well, but 144 or 108 is amazing for little tiny wolf cav. Also, my Iron Guts down here got 113, but then it kind of trails off at this point. Like 3 here with, oh, I thought that was my Iron Guts. So like 3 here with my Iron Guts. That was terrible, but they got 42. That's still not very good for Iron Guts considering how expensive they are. Actually 41 kills with my Notlob Orcish Bolt Throwing Engine. That's a lot better than I expected. It's just kind of hard to see the projectile that they shoot, so, but yeah. Anyway, guys, that was a battle. I hope you guys liked it. There's definitely more to come, and I hope you guys have a great day. So I'll see y'all next time.